Hello and welcome. This is a story about the United States of America, a country born from bold ideas, hard battles, and the dream of freedom. Together, we'll explore how America began, what it stands for, and how its history still shapes life today. Listen closely and learn English as we travel through real events, important documents, and powerful struggles for justice and equality. Stories like this help you grow your language skills and understand the world better. Let's begin. In the United States, people celebrate a special holiday called Independence Day. This day happens every year on the 4th of July. It is a time for people to enjoy fireworks, cookouts, and parades. But what does this day really mean? And how old is the country of America in the year 2025? To answer this question, we need to go back in time to the year 1776. This was a very important year in American history. On July 4, 1776, the leaders of the American colonies said they no longer wanted to be ruled by Great Britain. They wanted to be free. These leaders wrote a very important paper called the Declaration of Independence. This paper said that the 13 American colonies would now become their own country. They called this new country the United States of America. So, if we count from the year 1776 to the year 2025, the United States is 249 years old. That is a long time. Many people think of this date as the birthday of the country. Every year, Americans celebrate this birthday with parties and fireworks. But if you ask the question, how old is America, there are other ways to answer it. That's because the idea of America is older than just the date 1776. There are other important dates in history that also tell the story of this land and the people who lived here. For example, long before 1776, Native Americans lived on this land. They were the first people in America. They came here thousands of years ago, maybe as early as 30,000 years ago. Some scientists say people have been living in North America for at least 15,000 years. These first people had their own cultures, languages, and ways of life. They hunted, farmed, and built villages and cities. The land we now call the United States was their home for a very long time. Then, in the year 1492, a man named Christopher Columbus came from Europe on a big ship. He was trying to find a new way to reach Asia, but instead, he found land that was new to him. This event is often called the discovery of America, but it's important to remember that the land was not empty. It was already home to many native peoples. After Columbus, more people came from Europe. They began to build settlements. The first English settlement in what is now the United States was in a place called Jamestown, Virginia. This happened in the year 1607. Later, in 1620, a group of people called the Pilgrims came on a ship called the Mayflower. They landed in what is now the state of Massachusetts. These people came for many reasons. Some wanted freedom to practice their religion. Others wanted to own land and start a new life. Over time, more and more people came from Europe. They built towns and farms. They traded with Native Americans. But they also fought with native peoples and took their land. Life in the colonies was hard. People had to work very hard to survive. They also had to follow the rules of the British king, who lived far away in England. Many colonists did not like this. They wanted to make their own laws and choose their own leaders. By the 1700s, the colonies had grown strong. There were 13 of them. The people living there started to think about breaking away from British rule. They wanted to be free. They wanted to build their own country. In 1776, they made a bold decision. They wrote the Declaration of Independence. This document said that all people have certain rights. These rights come from their creator, not from kings or governments. The most important rights, the document said, are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That means people should be free to live their lives, make their own choices, and try to be happy. The document also said that all men are created equal. At the time, this idea was new and powerful, even though it did not yet apply to everyone. The declaration was signed by leaders from each of the 13 colonies. These colonies later became the first 13 states. Their names were New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. These states joined together to form the United States of America. So, on July 4, 2025, the United States will be 249 years old. That is the number of years since the country began its journey toward freedom. But as we have seen, the story of America is older and more complex. It includes Native Americans, early European settlers, and many different groups of people who helped shape the land and its history. After the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, the colonies still had a lot of work to do. Just because they wrote the Declaration did not mean they were free right away. Great Britain did not want to let the colonies go. A long war started between the American colonies and the British. This war is called the American Revolutionary War, or just the Revolutionary War. It lasted for 8 years, from 1775 to 1783. Many people died. It was a very hard time. During the war, people in the colonies had to make many sacrifices. They fought for freedom, even when they had little food or supplies. Some soldiers had no shoes or warm clothes in winter. But they kept fighting. They believed in the idea of freedom and wanted to build a new country. In the end, the Americans won the war. In 1783, the British finally agreed to let the colonies be free. A treaty was signed in Paris, France. This treaty said that the United States of America was now a free and independent nation. This was a big moment in world history. It showed that people could fight for their rights and win. But after the war, the new country needed a government. They needed a way to make laws, choose leaders, and protect people's rights. At first, they used a system called the Articles of Confederation. But this system did not work very well. It gave too much power to the states and not enough to the national government. The country had trouble working together. So, in 1787, leaders from the states met to write a new plan. They met in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This meeting is called the Constitutional Convention. There, they wrote a new document called the Constitution of the United States. This constitution gave a better structure to the government. It created 3 main parts: the President, Executive, the Congress, Legislative, and the courts, Judicial. These 3 parts would each have their own job and would balance each other. This way, no one group would have too much power. The Constitution also said that the people have rights. It promised that the government would protect these rights. In 1788, the Constitution was approved, or ratified, by most of the states. That means 237 years will have passed in 2025 since the Constitution became the law of the land. This document is still used today. It is the oldest written national constitution still in use. The Constitution also had something called the Bill of Rights. These are the first 10 changes, or amendments, to the Constitution. They list the rights of the people. For example, the right to free speech, the right to follow your own religion, the right to have a fair trial, and the right to privacy. These rights are very important to Americans. So when we talk about how old America is, some people count from 1776, the year the Declaration of Independence was signed. Others count from 1788, the year the Constitution was ratified. Both dates are very important. One marks the birth of the idea of freedom. The other marks the beginning of a working government. But still, we can look back even farther. We can talk about the land itself. Scientists say that North America was formed over 200 million years ago. This is when a big supercontinent broke apart. The pieces of land moved slowly over time. One of those pieces became what we now call North America. Mountains, rivers, and lakes formed. Plants and animals lived here long before humans did. So in one way, the land of America is hundreds of millions of years old. People came to North America much later. As we said earlier, the first people arrived more than 15,000 years ago, maybe even 30,000 years ago. These early people crossed a land bridge from Asia to Alaska. They moved south and lived all across the land. They learned to hunt animals, grow crops, and build homes. They made art, music, and stories. They had governments and rules. These people are the ancestors of today's Native American tribes. Each tribe had its own culture. Some lived in forests, others in deserts. Some lived by fishing, others by farming. They respected the land and the animals. They believed the earth was a living thing, not something to own. The arrival of European settlers changed their lives forever. Many native people were pushed off their land. Many died from sickness and war. But Native Americans are still here today. They continue to teach their languages and traditions. They are an important part of America's history and future. So, when we ask, how old is America in 2025, the answer depends on how we look at history. If we count from the Declaration of Independence, America is 249 years old. If we count from the Constitution, it is 237 years old. If we think about when the land was formed, it is over 200 million years old. And if we think about the first people who lived here, it is at least 15,000 years old. All of these answers are part of the truth. America is not just one date or one moment. It is many stories joined together. It is a country made from many peoples, many ideas, and many hopes. It is always growing and changing. And every year on the 4th of July, Americans take time to remember how it all began, with a dream of freedom. Every year on the 4th of July, people in the United States celebrate the country's independence. But what does this celebration really mean for Americans today? It is more than just a holiday with fireworks, music, and food. It is a way to remember the past and think about the future. On July 4, 1776, a new idea was born. That idea was freedom. The Declaration of Independence said that all people are created equal and have rights. These rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This means people should be free to live their lives, to make their own choices, and to try to be happy. When the colonies broke away from British rule, it was a brave act. The people did not know if they would win the war. They did not know what kind of country they would have. But they believed in freedom and were willing to fight for it. Today, Americans still talk about freedom. They believe it is one of the most important parts of being American. But freedom is not always simple. In 1776, when the Declaration said, "All men are created equal," it did not mean everyone. Many people were still not free. Women could not vote. Black people were kept as slaves. Native Americans were losing their land. So even though the words in the Declaration were strong and beautiful, they were not true for everyone at that time. Over the years, people worked hard to make those words more real. They marched in protests. They gave speeches. They went to court. They passed new laws. Bit by bit, the country started to change. Slavery ended. Women got the right to vote. Civil rights laws were passed. These changes helped the country move closer to the dream of freedom and equality for all. But even today, the work is not finished. Many people still fight for equal rights. Some people face unfair treatment because of their skin color, their gender, their religion, or who they love. So the idea of America is still a dream in progress. The 4th of July is not just about the past, it is also about what we hope for the future. The celebration of Independence Day reminds people of the courage it took to start the country. It also reminds them of the values that hold the country together: freedom, equality, justice. These are not just words, they are goals. Americans know that reaching these goals takes time and effort. On this holiday, many people show their love for their country. They raise the American flag. They sing songs like "The Star-Spangled Banner." They thank soldiers who protect the country. Families gather to eat and enjoy time together. Cities hold parades and fireworks shows. Children wave little flags. People wear red, white, and blue. All of this shows that Americans feel proud of their country, even when it is not perfect. For some people, the 4th of July is also a time to ask questions. They might think about what freedom really means. They might talk about how to make the country better. They might remember the people who are still waiting for justice. Asking these questions is part of what makes America strong. In a free country, people are allowed to speak their minds and work for change. So, when Americans celebrate the 4th of July, they are doing many things at once. They are looking back at their history. They are thinking about their present. And they are dreaming about their future. The day is full of meaning, and it belongs to everyone, no matter where they were born, what language they speak, or what their story is. As we think more about the 4th of July and what it means, it's important to remember that America is always changing. The country has grown and faced many challenges since 1776. Some of those challenges were hard. But every challenge helped to shape the country into what it is today. In the beginning, the United States had only 13 states. Today, there are 50. The land now stretches from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. People from all over the world have come to live in America. They have brought their languages, food, music, and ideas. This has made America a country with many cultures and many voices. This mix of people is called diversity. It means that not everyone is the same, and that is something many Americans are proud of. Diversity can make life more interesting. It also teaches people to understand and respect each other. But it can also bring problems, especially when people do not agree. That is why the ideas of freedom, equality, and respect are so important. They help hold the country together, even when people have different opinions or backgrounds. In schools, children learn about the history of America. They learn about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They read about important people like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Martin Luther King Jr. They also learn about the mistakes the country has made, like slavery, the mistreatment of Native Americans, and the times when some people were not treated fairly. Learning about both the good and the bad helps students understand how to build a better future. The 4th of July is not just about the people who started America. It is also about the people who keep it going. Teachers, nurses, farmers, builders, artists, firefighters, all of these people help the country grow. Immigrants who come to America bring new energy and new ideas. Young people dream about what they can do when they grow up. Everyone has a part to play. One special thing about America is that it is a democracy. This means that the people choose their leaders by voting. The leaders are supposed to listen to the people. This system does not always work perfectly, but it gives people a voice. In many places around the world, people do not have this right. In America, people can speak freely, protest peacefully, and work for change. That is why Independence Day is not just a birthday, it is a reminder of the power of the people. In 1776, the people said they wanted to be free. Today, Americans still believe in that dream. They still believe that a country should belong to the people, not to kings or powerful rulers. Fireworks light up the sky every 4th of July. The sounds are loud and bright, and they remind us of the struggle for freedom. But they also bring people together. Friends and families sit outside, watch the sky, and feel connected. It is a time to relax, to smile, and to be thankful. As the United States turns 249 years old in 2025, it is a time to celebrate, but also a time to think. What kind of country do we want in the future? How can we make sure everyone has a chance to succeed? How can we keep the promise of freedom and equality alive for the next generation? America is not finished. It is a work in progress. But every year on the 4th of July, people remember how it all began, with hope, with courage, and with a powerful idea, that all people should be free.